There is something comforting about a nice photo, a photo that follows all the rules. Like a well-plated dish at a restaurant, it looks great and it's easy to admire. But does it nourish you? Does it leave a lasting taste? And what is the impact of it on the chef? For years I served up photos like that, nicely framed, well-executed crowd pleasers. But eventually I realized something was missing. They were technically solid, but emotionally empty. I wasn't feeding the soul of my work. I was just dressing the plate. There was a time I was obsessed with getting everything just right. The perfect symmetry, the rule of thirds, the golden hour light, a subject entering my frame at the perfect angle. It became a checklist. I didn't even notice it happening. The more I scrolled through social media, the more my taste shifted. I started confusing pretty with good. I began chasing the look, not the meaning. My feed looked cohesive, well curated. But it didn't feel like me. It felt like a menu designed to please everyone. Like fast food for the eyes, safe, processed and forgettable. And I'll be honest, those photos got the most likes on social media and for a brief time made me feel appreciated. But superficial appreciation leaves a shallow mark on the soul, which fades by the time you are ready to ask the question, what does it all mean? Would my photos still be meaningful when I'm ready to see them raw? If I stripped away the color grading, the shallow depth, the mood lighting, would the images still say something? A few years ago, a good friend of mine, someone who isn't a photographer but has a sharp eye for art, started following me on social media. After a few months, he came to me and said something that I still remember word for word. Your photos look very nice, but have you ever tried to ignore the rules and the frame and start focusing just on the moment? This question hit me like a flash of lightning. I was confused. What did he mean? My photos look nice, clean, well composed, technically solid, I thought. Was it just because he wasn't a photographer that he couldn't appreciate them? I brushed it off in the moment, but the question lingered. It echoed in my head for weeks, months, even years. But eventually, I understood. It's not technical perfection that gives a photo its power, but it's the soul behind it. The more I sat with that thought, the more I began to notice something. The images that truly stayed with me were rarely the sharpest or the most perfectly exposed. Some were blurry, others were a little off in composition or light. But they had something else. They felt real. They reminded me of the meals my mom used to cook for me when I was a child. Home cooked, unpolished, not plated for presentation, but full of flavor, love and memories. They weren't balanced like the dishes you would get in a fancy restaurant, but every bite was alive with feeling. These meals didn't need perfection to be perfect. And going back, after years of turning that question in my mind, I finally understood what my friend meant that day. That's when I began to let go of the pressure to make something nice every time I picked up my camera. I stopped trying to impress strangers and started trying to connect with myself and with the moment. I started noticing the quiet gestures, the in-between silences, the frames that hummed with energy even if they weren't conventionally beautiful. I stopped discarding the odd, messy, imperfect shots. I saw in them something far more valuable: honesty, emotion, humanity. Much like my mom's home-cooked meals that still fill me with warmth every time I visit my parents, I now look for photos that will make me feel something in the moment. Images that will continue to stir that feeling each time I return to them. If you're enjoying this video so far, hit the like button and consider subscribing with a bell. I've always been someone who finds comfort in control. Knowing exactly what I'm gonna have for lunch, cooking my meals the night before, gives me peace. I like to plan ahead, to avoid surprises and set things up for success. But if there is one thing I learned from photography is that the streets don't care about your plans. If you try to control street photography the same way, your photos will likely feel forced or empty. Because the truth is, the streets are unpredictable. And if you want to capture something real, something unique, you have to embrace the unknown. You have to accept that you are not in control. You just have to be present, to observe, and to be ready, because the moment never waits. So now I no longer plan my frames. I don't map out my compositions in advance. I give myself the space to feel instead of calculating every shot. Photography became slower but richer. I started noticing more. I stopped walking around with headphones. Now I listen to the sounds of the city, the rhythms of the street, the small clues that something might be happening around the corner. I pay attention to details, the tension in someone's posture, the subtle expressions that say way more than words, people becoming part of an incredible scene they will never notice. I'm not chasing nice photos anymore. I don't always care if they're sharp or technically perfect. What I care about is the moment, moments that make me feel something. And the more I trusted that, the more I realized emotion matters more than perfection. A photo doesn't have to explain itself, it just has to mean something to me. When you let go of nice, you begin to develop taste, your own taste. Not borrowed from trends in social media, not shaped by algorithms, but refined by your experiences, your mistakes, and your curiosity. Some will like it, some won't, but it doesn't matter. That's how you know it's yours. These days I carry less gear, I edit with a lighter hand, and I'm not trying to force a photo into a mold. I let it be what it is. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's strange, but every image is honest. And like a good meal, it stays with you. So if you find yourself stuck trying to take the perfect photo, just let it go. Let go of nice, let go of safe, let go of trying to be liked. And ask yourself this instead: what is my taste and how do I want my photos to taste like? Because at the end of the day, it's not the prettiest dish that fills us. It's the one made with care, with story, and with a part of our soul in it. What's one stereotypic good composition that you stopped chasing? Let me know down in the comments. If this video spoke to you, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And if you're hungry for more, click and watch this video next. It's all about the biggest mistakes I made in my photography journey and how they shaped the way I see. That was all for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I will see you on the streets. Bye bye.